the annihilator of armies, destroyer of empires. Gorbad Ironclaw now claims his place as the greatest of all war bosses.
Maybe the real WAAAGH was the friends we made along the way. RuinousInsight here, welcoming you to part 1 of a brand new modded Total Warhammer 3 Old World campaign. SFO Grimhammer 3 Greenskins. Now, rather than hold a community vote for the Greenskin Lord as I usually would, I decided to go with Gorbad. His unique mechanics enable a ton of interesting and varied army compositions, and just encourage experimentation. And I gotta get my kicks somewhere. Slaaneshi giggle. I mean, Gorkily giggle, or possibly Morkily giggle. Those itching to vote for something, however, can mosey on over to the channel community or posts tab, as the next campaign Lord vote should now be up. But before we start this campaign, housekeeping. Modwise, all mod info is in the description below. As usual, plug-wise, check out our Discord and join the Ruinous host. Consider joining the channel or becoming a Patreon to get access to perks like exclusive votes, or support the channel by purchasing your games through our affiliates in the description below. Big shout out to the modders, and as always, the biggest shout out to you guys for your comments and support. Anyway, let's take a quick look at how SFO changes the faction. Now, faction-wide, the big thing is Gorbad has access to the plan, which can completely change the dynamics of his units and armies, and I guess which I'll show off once we're in-game. He also gets improved WAAAGH rewards, and I have no idea which form that will take, but we'll see those once we have completed our first WAAAGH. More straightforward, upkeep reduction in enemy territory faction-wide incentivizes more sacking, raiding, and looting that the Greenskins are known for, and the global recruitment being a little bit faster, I guess, means ranging far from home to do said sacking, raiding, and looting. Lastly, he gets access to a unique unit, the Tactical Boys, which are a weaker version of Ruglud's armored orcs, being a hybrid unit of orcs with crossbows. And this is a neat unit that I think will enable some new and interesting army compositions with the Greenskins. His lord effects are comparatively simple: upkeep reduction in province and a huge buff to leadership aura, as befitting a leader of men, leader of orcs archetype. The aura, I think, will be particularly useful, as it will help a lot of the units in the Greenskin roster that have horrifically low leadership. Trolls. Anyway, he also gets a big attacking buff ability called Orcs Are the Best, and which will target one unit and will help him do massive amounts of damage, I guess. Plus, his unique WAAAGH is an army-wide ability that gives the entire army Devastating Flanker, which doubles the charge bonus when flanking. Should be pretty interesting, and will incentivize using both cavalry and non-cavalry troops together. Anyway, on to the setup. We're going with very hard, as I find that to be the sweet spot, and the AI stats maxed all the way out. That's it for me. All glory to the algorithm, and let's get to it.
Get ready for proper mayhem, lads. Morglaw's itching for some mangling.
Morglor ain't the only one. I'm itching for some mangling too, by which I mean we gotta get Mangler's squigs on field as fast as orcally possible, as they're just so dang fun to watch. Anyway, here we go. Gorbad Ironclaw on field at last. I may have missed him when his DLC came out, but get to enjoy him now in SFO, which generally tends to be the better way to enjoy your factions anyway, at least in my opinion. Anyway, for those unfamiliar, real briefly, Gorbad has access to the plan, and by unlocking these, plans here, big plans, bigger strategies, and master tactics, we will be able to modify either units within our army or our entire army. There's lots of passives to be acquired, lots of changes to various units, army abilities, etc., etc., etc. We'll essentially go over them slowly as we unlock them and pick and choose which ones we want. We can have 3 active at a time, and they start with a limited duration, but as your lord levels, they become infinite duration at rank 30, which is a fair bit away, but eventually we'll get there. On top of that, we have the unit upgrade, or not the unit upgrades, the scrap upgrades, which allows us to use the scrap currency to change some of the things about certain units. This, in combination with those plans, can make for some really interesting changes to army compositions and the way that you use your units generally. I'm going to have a lot of fun with this. Hopefully as many good and different compositions as Thorgrim got in his campaign. Lastly, Wily, we got the WAAAGH mechanic for the orcs, which is pretty standard. We gain WAAAGH reputation over time and eventually can call a WAAAGH upon a faction, wherein we essentially select a target, and after occupying their capital, we get the reward of the various WAAAGH mobs units, which are similar to Grudge Settler units for the dwarfs, some of which should probably be pretty dang good. Lava Spider Rider Archers, Lava Ragnaroks, Armored Squig Hoppers. Ooh, can't wait for those squig armies. Anyway, that's enough yammering about that, I think. It's time to start the battle. What do we have here, by the way? Attrition plus 10 casualties suffered from all attrition, but we get 5% physical resistance for the entire army? Huh, that's pretty solid. Winds of Magic Power Reserve plus 5 on armies in region. That's really solid. Warpainter. Alright, I like it a lot, Mr. Steve Kolmancha. You're gonna go into Gorbad's army. And I believe one of these missions, unless I'm mistaken, equip any tactic of the plan. Alright, so I guess we'll pick the one called Gorbad's Boys. The game is almost daring us or telling us to pick that one. All we gotta have for this one is Gorbad and 2 orc boys in the army. Oh, but I guess we wouldn't keep orc boys in the army, general speaking. We'd be using the tactical orcs later on. Certainly, the regular orc boys wouldn't stick around for a long time. But anyway, this does minus 5% upkeep reduction and a passive ability for orc boys and orc boar boys. I wonder if it's regular boar boys or biggins count. Plus 8 melee attack and some decent buffs. Alright, equip. There we go, 3,000 gold and unlock any tactic by completing its challenge. Alright, well, we'll work on that, and the best way to work on it is by chopping things, crumping things, etc. Oh, I got a pretty decent looking bunch of units here. Unit of Ice Guard, unit of Winged Lancers. I think this will be fun. First cinematic battle, go.
Listen good, lads. You fight, you stick to the plan, and you win. Questions? No questions. Whoa!
Alright, I was just trying not to laugh and give his little sidling little steps as the orc boys were going around him. Anyway, here we go. Big Battle 1, Pig Battle 1, as we face off against the Kislevites in the campaign's first battle. And the enemy is a pretty decent army. I'm excited about that. We've started with tier 1 and 2 units and no higher, and the enemy has started with tier 2 and 3 units here, and due to the presence of the Winged Lancers and those units of Ice Guard. Snow Leopards tier 2, surprisingly, considering how decent they are when combined with the cavalry elements, which I do quite well at. Anyway, we're going to start the battle off by annoying said cavalry elements as best we can with our little gobbo bolt throwers, and don't know how effective they're going to be at that sort of thing, but I'm sure they'll be able to plink away and at least knock out a few of the Winged Lancers, 3 so far, as well as about 15% of their HP. Anyway, it looks like at least the Winged Lancers are rather annoyed and are going to move to the enemy's left flank. I'm going to still take a fair couple of those bolt thrower bolts. And I can't wait to see if we can make bolt throwers, as in goblin bolt throwers, effective enough to actually be used in big numbers. Scrap upgrades as well as tactics, we'll see whether we can make them really strong by the end game. Really curious to see if it's at all possible. Anyway, we're going to get a Gaze of Mork going, which will hit the Ice Guard and take out 22 of their units. A very nice work from our orc shaman there. The units of Winged Lancers continue to attempt to go for our flank, and so we will send our units of orc boys with the spears their way, while one of our orc error boys will start annoying them as well. The other stuff we are doing is a orc boy unit will go for these Kossars, another orc biggin unit will head directly for the armored Kossars, obviously because the biggins have armor piercing damage, and then the regular orc boys do not. Besides, we have boar boys here heading for this Kossar unit anyway, and they should get a nice big pig charge in them. On them, out of them, whatever. Alright, here we go. We'll take a few of those arrows. Those bucklers will block a few, I'm sure. And here comes the charge. Looks like it won't send any of the Kossars flying, which is a little bit surprising, but it's all good because they may not be flying, but they are dying, as the charge takes about 20% of their HP, and they will slowly but surely get overrun and then crushed in between the two units. In the meantime, our squigs have arrived, and unlike the boar boys do send those ice guard flying as they smash into their backlines, the little tiny squiggies are anti-infantry, and while they are quite fragile, hitting the enemy ice guard in the back, who are also quite fragile, should allow us to do plenty of damage to them. In the meantime, the main lines have engaged. Gorbad is distracting a single unit of armored Kossars, which in theory shouldn't be all that threatening to him, especially as it is the non-great weapon variant, whatever, and thus shouldn't be piercing his heavy armor. The error boys have unfortunately gotten charged by the winged lancers and have taken a little bit of the damage, but we have activated Gorbad's WAAAGH and do now have them dishing out a little bit of damage back. Gorbad towering over those infantry units here, completely surrounded by Kossars, but distracting a single blob of units like this is very much worth our time, or his time, I should say, rather than chasing around the enemy lord, who probably wouldn't have even attempted to engage him in melee anyway. There we go, some nice hits. I want to try to enjoy his melee animations before we put him on Gnarla, his boar, and probably get different types of animations. What if he has anything unique, any kind of execution animations for enemy infantry? Some lords have some really fantastic execution animations. My favorite is still, and has been for a fairly long time now, Valkia, who has this animation where she picks up an infantryman and then just sort of impales them out of the sky. It's fantastic. Anyway, looks like the battle has turned very much in our favor at about 70%. It looks like at least a few of the enemy Kossars are still fighting, but while they're distracted by the anvil of the orc boys or biggins, the boar boys will be able to charge them in the back. The enemy ice guard have failed, having been destroyed by the little squiggies, who then turn to surround the ice witch in preparation for the arrival of Gorbad himself. The WAAAGH activates once more, and he jumps over his boys and heads directly for the ice witch. Hey, he does a lot of jumping animations. I don't recall either WAAAGH or Grimgor doing that. Interesting. Though as to whether jumping attacks are tactical, I'm not so sure about that, because it does leave you vulnerable while you're in the air and can't change direction and all that. Anyway, with that, the first battle comes to an end, and Gorbad gets the first of many victories in this campaign. Alright, there we go. That was pretty darn fun for a first battle. I always love it when the first battle isn't just a wash, isn't just a sort of super easy battle designed in such a way that you can't lose it, but a proper fight with some decent units. I mean, Ice Guard, Snow Leopard, not to be underestimated in SFO, and Winged Lancers are very much the same very solid cavalry unit, as I very much learned in my Tsarina Katrin campaign previously. Anyway, Eat Captives gives us a little bit of heal and plus 25 growth for all provinces. Wow, you can get a lot of bonus growth for fighting constantly. We can get plus 5 control for all provinces, only for one turn, mind you, but I guess at the very start it's probably gold that will be more critical than anything. Plus 4 casualty or punishment trait on armies faction-wide. Oh, wow. One army winning anywhere on the map can increase the healing of all armies faction-wide. That's pretty interesting. All right, I'm liking the way that the orcs work already. Anything that rewards being super aggressive, I'm generally pretty happy about. But for the first one, we'll ransom the captives. Too much money to turn down at the very start. Anyway, engage the enemy, give us a little bit of cash. WAAAGH will immediately uncollect the income because it's very minimal, and because we can get the bonus in SFO of 50 growth in the starting territory. Speaking of growth, I do believe... Ooh. We could get another shaman on field eventually. What's the Black Orc Big Boss building? It is... Okay, this is a Mangler's Squig Night Goblin Big Boss. Oh, Black Orc Big Boss is here. Fairly far away because it's tier 3 structure, but at least most of this stuff is acquired in tier 3, and so fairly early. Easy to tech up to a lot of the stuff with the orcs, which is great. Lots of early game army diversity, which I really appreciate. And variety is the spice of life and all that. A totem pole gives us growth for adjacency bonuses and a huge amount. This gives us an additional 60 growth with casualty or punishment, but it's only in province, so it's not that big of a deal. Oh, this gives us all province growth plus control, eh? And casualty captured per post-battle fact. Okay, no, yeah, we're gonna go with you, and then we'll get the money building afterwards. Alright, Gorbad, you get your first level as well, sir. And I guess we're going to start with wait, can we reach the first territory? We can already reach it, meaning we'll start with inspiring presence, rather. And what do you do out of interest? Character experience gain plus 10% faction-wide, great research rate, the boss as a plan, melee defense plus 30, leadership, solid trait. Huh, melee infantry and... this is a faction-wide buff for all melee infantry units. I like it. I like it a lot. I do like my melee infantry. Missile strength and ammunition for Lord's army, as well as dig in for range units, increasing their range massively. Certainly incentivizing Gorbad grabbing those tactical boys, which we're gonna do. Riders on the flank buffs his cavalry, meaning it incentivizes Gorbad to use boar boys in combination with the Ruglad's armored orcs leading the tactical boys, and then this gives Glorious Charge specifically to Gorbad, as well as a pretty solid Degrade Leader buff, 10-10 melee attack and defense. Vigor loss reduction, absolutely massive in SFO. Frenzy from WAAAGH mobs, specifically. Oh, that's kind of interesting. It'll warrant getting a bunch of, or at least maybe not a bunch, but certainly some WAAAGH mobs in the army, eh? I'll have to figure out what ones will fit in well, assuming we don't just keep swapping armies around, because we'll need to switch tactics, and some of them will go on cooldown and all that. So anyway, Arnalos, we are on the way to you next. Let's see what we got going on here. Basically nothing. Alright, well, I'll resolve this. And got a free ogre blade and all that stuff. Occupy, please. And just occupy. Alrighty. Good. And we get... We do get something out of Goblin Sawmills, but now I'm realizing I didn't see marble. I guess orcs and even their gobbo minions probably wouldn't be quarrying stone. Seems like something they might not bother with. Which, fair enough. Although I see a lot of idols and totem poles and stuff among orky architecture. Some of those are stone as well, so you would need stone for that. Go figure. Anyway, we'll build this eventually. For now, I guess we could do another one of these growth and control buildings. And then we'll go for raiding stashes as well. Or is the raiding stash actually a priority here? You know, maybe you can start with the raiding stash. The growth will be pretty fast, at least to tier 2 anyway, so it won't make much of a difference. Arnalos, so we will build the tactical boys, which are 0 cost because their unit capacity is extremely limited based on the number of plans that are active. I guess we can get another squig herd. We'll split them off eventually. Maybe a couple pump wagons. Gotta have fast movers. And obviously we'll want the regular orcs as well. And because we're using the Warband upgrade, we can eventually upgrade the pump wagons to better pump wagons and the squigs to Mangler's squigs. They need to be rank 4. Oh, that's not actually all that far. They are expensive, I will say, but still not all that far. Yeah, alright, fair enough. Snubbling pump wagons. I'll start with you as well. Alrighty, and our casualty replenishment, unfortunately, right now is kind of terrible, which means we will need to pay attention to that replenishment bonus. Anyway, one of the boys, do you buff anything? Any kind of specific units? Aha. Savage Orcs, Trolls, Rogue Idols, Wyverns, and Giants, probably including some of the WAAAGH units. Alright, so we can still combine that with the bonuses offered by Gorbad, might even warrant a second shaman, depending. And I think that's all the sort of army-wide buffs that you give other than Onslaught when attacking. Alright, let's get you, I guess, Gaze of Mork. I want to be able to get some of the passives and stuff afterwards. Anyway, you're good. Now we can take the first tech, which is... Oh, right. This will be activated via scrap and techs. So a long time from now. So what? Replenishment. Oh, replenishment immediately. Beautiful. Local recruitment capacity and reputation +1 per turn. So faster WAAAGH activation. Well, we probably won't be able to activate it before Hildegrad is destroyed, but I'm sure we'll find a few other factions as we head into the Empire and, well, succeed where Gorbad had previously failed, let's say. Anyway, I'm going to end the turn, and for those unfamiliar with the way I do the old world campaigns, not to worry, we won't have super long end turns because I'll be editing them out. Alrighty, constant casualty replenishment +5, which I think might have activated at the end of the turn. I'm not entirely sure. We did take a little bit of damage in that fight, but that's alright. We got capture and occupy the following settlement, Iron Rock, which is in the Badlands. I'm not so sure that we'll actually send Gorbad himself all this way, although +10 plans. I wouldn't say no to that. Confederation formed with Ironclaw mutinous boys, eh? We get anything interesting out of that? Hey, wait, where's Spider Gob? Spider Gob. No, but seriously, where's Spider Gob? I guess we got a mission for him? Anyway, we will see about this and put down the rebellion eventually. Alright. Unlock a tactic. Yeah, we'll work on it. Oh, actually, speaking of... Wait, if I click this won't undo this tactic, will it? I don't know, because we're about to find out. No, okay. You have to specifically unequip it. That's fine. To get this... Okay, wait, this is available. Unit requirements not... Okay, this is just a unit requirement, so it's not locked. You know what? Some of them will probably unlock themselves without paying attention to them, and then we can see the specific ones as we go. Anyway, you are not able to reach Hildegrad from here. You can get right to the edge of our territory. I wonder if we'd be able to reach it from here next turn. Actually, that wasn't a lot of movement range. What do we have in terms of defenses there? Not much either. I think we could just head directly towards it, go into Raiden camp, and then move into the enemy territory. Wherein we actually heal more than in our own territory, which, you know, fair enough. I guess we could have raided our own territory and then healed up there more as well. Anyway, just get as close to Hildegrad as possible. And we can use global recruitment to get some cheap units, but I think it's not a big deal right now. Alrighty, let's go for our next tech. We're not using gobs in our starting army, at least not with Gorbad, so we'll go eager to fight and then buff the orcs over the gobs at least first. Although our first couple of armies will probably rely on the cheapness of goblin fodder a fair bit, so we'll probably want a fair few of those. Next up, we'll want to probably upgrade the stunty cages, get that growth up and running, and get our Nalos upgraded to tier 2. And we will eventually want to upgrade the fighting pit to get orc biggins and error boys and stuff, but it isn't super critical at the moment. Alright, the rest of that looks good to me in another end turn. Alright, there's the SFO thing. It allows you to get a basic sort of little buff at the very start of the campaign. Lately, I've just not been taking a buff and grabbing Time of Balance, because I figure, well, we don't need to be any stronger than we already are as the player. Anyway, Gorbad, you can, I guess, grab Route Marchers. Anything good here? Looting settlements, sacking settlements, raiding. See, I don't think we'll be doing a lot of raiding specifically with Gorbad. Other armies might be doing some raiding. We might even generate a raiding army or two. And also what we would also like to do is take a look at what we have in terms of available lords and get an early lord up and running. Opportunist when winning in melee combat, so more powerful heroes. Missile block chance plus 25% for the entire army, eh? That's quite interesting. We have a scrap upgrade, don't we? That increases various... Ooh, wait, where's the scrap upgrades? Too many menus. Yeah, padded shields, missile block chance plus 25. I wonder if the same chance is available to black orcs and stuff. And I assume that this is also available to gobos. I'm just thinking that we could combine that with the missile block chance plus 25% out of the stabbiest and get even more stuff. Ooh, range plus 10% for Lord's Army, that's nice. The Trickster, income from sacking, post-battle chance of stealing magic. It's alright, but I'd be more interested in stuff that buffs the army. Upkeep reduction for the Lord's Army, minus 5%. That's immediately extremely worth it. Mass for Lord's Army. Ooh, good for charges and stuff. Yes. Alright, and then what do we have here? Rating and the Burniest. Oh, I love you already. I don't care about the laying siege, but somebody's got to lead a fire army or two. We're definitely going to get a Burniest guy, but for now, since this Orc War Boss has Duskariest with that upkeep reduction, we gotta go with the upkeep reduction. At least in the early game, it's going to be super useful, so we'll get you on field. Frankly, I should have done this last turn and then moved you together with Gorbad, but I got excited and just ended the turn, so it is what it is. Anyway, Gorbad, go for Route Marcher. We'll still use it in the early game. Frankly, decent likelihood that we just start straight saving points for his unique line relatively early. Anyway, I imagine that we'll have to do something about this settlement because it is walled and I'm gonna have all those Cossars firing down upon us. Will that allow them to achieve anything? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Go.
Proper fight, boys. Let's war.
Alright, well, I guess we're about to find out if they're ready for a proper fight, as this is a siege, and early game sieges are generally fairly difficult. And SFO, due to the massively increased HP of the gates and the stronger towers, whether they be wall towers or settlement towers, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Also curious to see whether the unit of goblin bolt throwers is actually capable of bringing the enemy towers down. I don't imagine that it does too much damage to towers as an artillery piece. About 2.5k HP, 1/4 of the HP of one tower for about, what, 10 to 15% of our ammunition, meaning we should be able to bring it down. Great. Alrighty, that means we will bring them down from a distance, and I'm just going to speed it up while we bombard it, as it will take a fair bit to bring both down. First one is about to fall by the looks of it. By the looks of it. There we go, and then the second one is on the menu as well. Once those towers are down, we're going to get ready to move on in. Now, in terms of this particular battle, we have the... oh, I haven't taken a look at you guys yet, have I? The tactical boys. Actually, without a Ruglad's armored orcs nearby, it's kind of hard to make the comparison there. Hey, you don't have any kind of like peasant cap or come on, no skull caps on anybody. Well, anyway. Still a nice unit. We will be seeing how effective these guys will go into the late game, how strong we can make them. Going to be particularly interesting, I think. 160 range is also pretty darn solid. Very, very slightly more than the regular Orc Error boys. Anyway, while we were taking a look at those, the towers were, well, not quite falling, but getting there. And there we go. With the second tower brought down, now the enemy cannot fire upon us with their towers, though of course this is a Kislevite army, and well, pretty much all of the Kislevite units are hybrid units, and thus can fight in melee and in range. First of the arrows come in from the enemy Cossars as they use the, I was about to say corpse of the tower, the debris, the ruined structure as cover. But it looks like they're firing on Gorbad, at least for now, and that works decently well for us, so we're going to fire right back at them after all. The regular Orc Error boys, together with the Ruglad's armored orcs there. bows and crossbows alike. Oh, just out of curiosity, do the crossbows have more armor-piercing damage? So we got 10 armor-piercing damage versus we've got 8 armor-piercing damage. Very, very slightly more than that of the regular error boys. But I suppose it does make sense in some ways, as while you would think that the crossbows would have a little bit more armor-piercing oomph to them, these are orcs firing those. These are orcs firing those bows, after all, so they've got a lot of draw strength on them, and they're going to hit pretty hard. I think the gobos have like 3 or 2 armor-piercing damage comparatively, just very, very little by comparison, unless I'm mistaken. But anyway, all that aside, our arrows are doing a little bit of work, and some of those enemy units have gotten off of the wall, and otherwise we're going to have to do our best to take the wall by storm. And Gorbad will, of course, lead, and his shaman will follow. Now, for the orcs, as far as I can recall, we don't have a lot of community canon lords or characters. We do have Grotzlik Gitstompa, who is our legendary community canon shaman. Though as to whether we turn this guy into Grotzlik remains to be seen, because Grotzlik is supposed to be focused on the Foot of Gork spell. In fact, quite obsessed with it, hence the Gitstompa and the Foot of Gork moniker. And I don't remember whether there is a trait on the shamans that is available that would give him a reduction in terms of cost for Foot of Gork. I know that there is... there's one for Here We Go, and I guess we'll have to see. I'm gonna have to build that shaman building maybe a little bit sooner than I was originally expecting. Anyway, taking those walls by storm. Not talking about Grotzlik. We've got Gorbad facing off against the enemy Boyar up here, who's down to about half of his HP, while Gorbad's lost about 40% of his. The regular orc boys and the biggins facing off against the Kossars, however, should give us the advantage, especially with the support fire coming in from all of our range units. The gate is also under assault now, with the HP down to close to 1/3 as the orc biggins and the snotling pump wagons try to whack away and bring down the gate. Sooner or later, the gate will fall, and then pump wagons and squigs and boar boys will be able to make their way inside the city and tie up all those enemy range units, and without their support, as soon as they're deprived of it, we should have the battle well in hand. Alright, and it looks like the walls are also pretty much ours. The Kossars up there are very much in trouble. The gate is down to 9,000 out of 30,000 HP. It's a little bit more work though, and I certainly don't mind. I always love to see units fighting up on top of walls. Admittedly, tactically, there isn't too much to say. Nice little shot of the gaze of Mork from our shaman, who fired it down at the enemy below from on top of the walls. It looks like only about half of the projectiles hit, however, as I guess the angle was a little bit too steep. But oh well. Or at the very least, the angle was too steep and there wasn't enough distance to compensate for it. If the enemy were at twice as much distance, all of the projectiles would have most likely hit. Oh, and it looks like the Boyar has surprisingly come back with about 20% of his HP remaining, and Gorbad down to about 45%. A couple more hits from the much bigger axe that Gorbad is toting, however, should probably finish that Boyar off, and not in a good way. And it looks like he is out, and so is his head. Down goes the Boyar, and the battle for the wall has been won, meaning we can get off the walls now and start annoying the Kossars below. We've also switched the positioning slightly of our various units of range, including the tactical boys. And just firing a little bit angled so that they can provide a little bit of support fire on the units that are sort of setting up around the gate. Speaking of the gate, it is now at 1,000 HP and so close to being brought down. Fortunately, it looks like the mass of the pump wagons really helped out in terms of the enemy not killing off too many of the biggins as they got trapped on the other side of the gate. Still an annoying sort of element of pathing, but I doubt, I doubt that it's super high priority at this point for a CA to fix. Alrighty, and it looks like our boys have made it off of the wall, with Gorbad continuing to lead him, of course. I love how thick his armor looks. I mean, the nice thing, or the funny, or one of the nice things, or fun things, or funny things about orc war bosses is you could basically take any orc war boss from fantasy and drop them into 40k, and they'd look right in place. I mean, this isn't quite mega armor level, but it's close to it. This guy could definitely pass as a knob, at the very least. Alrighty, well, regardless, it looks like we're through the gate now. The pump wagons are in here, not spiky rollers, of course, so they're not going to be nearly as overpowered as the spiky rollers are, but they still have enough mass and those sort of pushing animations of theirs when they attack, if we can actually get them to attack rather than trying to use their mass to push through. There we go, that's what we wanted. At least one of them is moving. And starting to send those Kossars and those Kislevite warriors flying. The biggins have been joined by boar boys now. And it looks like most of the enemy range units are now distracted, and we are going to continue following them and making sure that they cannot fire another shot. It does look like there is a unit of Kossars over on the left flank as well, but we sent our most hurt unit of orc boys at them, and they'll chase them down and make sure that they, well, either don't come back or just get destroyed to a man. And, ooh, looks like we've got an enemy boy, another enemy boyar here to contend with. Gorbad's already defeated one, though admittedly he did take damage while doing so. Otherwise, it's a good old-fashioned infantry brawl on the ground around the gate. And of course, the enemy blobbed up around it to try to keep us back from making our way into the enemy settlement, but they didn't have enough mass to keep back all of the fast movers, or at the very least the more massive units. Squiggies have arrived as well to help out. And Gorbad's big WAAAGH activates as well, giving us a pretty big, well, decent, let's say, a melee attack buff. Interestingly, it also gives us devastating flanker, which we should definitely make good use of later on when we have more boar boys. Probably not so much in enemy settlements like this, but in other battles as well. Alright, and as we can see, while our orc boys fight, our fast movers are attempting to push through towards the enemy Kossars out here, as only a few of them are, or only a few pump wagons are up there distracting all of them. The boyar is trapped in the midst of piles of orc boys, and Gorbad has returned. He is pretty badly damaged, so we are being a little bit more careful with him, but with all of these other orcs surrounding the enemy lord, he should be okay. Huh, that was a little bit of a failure of a jump there. Looks like he was starting the jump animation, but it got stopped. Interesting. Anyway, the bounce power, about 85%, closing in on 90% in our favor as the enemy Kossars attempt to make their way up the ramp to fire back down upon us. The boar boys, the squigs, and the pump wagons simply follow. The enemy lord is still in the fight, but I'm willing to bet not for much longer, as the losses from the Kossars being chased by our fast movers will continue to tell, and eventually this lord is going to get into buy our blood. And he's shaken and exhausted at this point. The bounce power is at about 90% in our favor, perhaps. Boyar is still in the fight, but by the looks of it, very much not for long. And there we go. It looks like he shattered. Huh, wait. Interesting, wait. I guess the entire army just shattered, or was he already in buy our blood? Huh, I guess he was. Use is 0. Okay, I guess that's why he was still fighting. I'm just a little bit surprised that he just straight up shattered. At least it looked like he did. These guys are still very much in buy our blood. But I guess I wasn't paying attention to his active abilities at the time. Anyway, just a couple more hits until the 30 seconds of buy our blood and the unbreakable that it offers, well, breaks. Or runs out of time. We got 4 seconds on these guys, and I believe that will be the last unit, and as they shatter, the battle is out. Oh, okay, there's another little unit of Kossars with sabers and such, but they'll shatter as we get close to them anyway, because buy our blood will have already run out. There we go. Close victory, took the wall by storm, and an auspicious start for this campaign, and our first province. Armor of Gork, charge bonus, melee defense, fort save, and armor. Well, that's pretty swell. Surprisingly low amount of armor for an armor of Gork, but generally speaking, sounds like a pretty good item to get in the early game for Mr. Gorbad, especially since he's been fighting it a lot. Also, great to get one of these early game sieges under our belts, as they're always really fun, especially in SFO, when your army is still a pretty darn weak. Anyway, a lovely fighting. We got lots of 10,000 damage on the orc boys with spears, beating out the orc boys with cleavers and biggins, but they did admittedly spend a lot of their time trying to bash their way through that gate. The tactical boys got the most damage at 14k, though the pump wagons were perhaps unsurprisingly close. For their cost, pump wagons have always been an insanely overpowered unit, though I don't remember how strong they are in SFO compared to vanilla in terms of, overpoweredness. Anyway, occupy. Alright, enemy killed in battle, armor of Gork for Gorbad, and province secured, Karnos Forest. Held the Grad destroyed. And what do we have in terms of commandments? Camp Ruckus, control +6 growth, income loss. Who cares? We don't have that. Ooh, 10% casualty or punishment rate. I do admit that that's nice, however there are other things that we'll need to deal with. Might have to bonk this other orc into confederating. I wonder whether we should head down here or not. Ooh, fight some ogres. Probably should. I would imagine that Myrmidons and several of the surrounding territories are going to be fairly good at producing stuff. The -100. Okay, so there is a very high likelihood that these guys will declare war on us rather quickly. But nonetheless, anyway. They are close by. I wonder, what's your leader? Alugn Delune. Alright, so if we could just find you and bonk you, we'll get your 2 settlements for free, which would... Oh, they're part of different provinces. That's a little bit annoying. Yeah, whatever. We'll deal with it. Anyway, we need some more orc boys. I think that was pretty clear from that particular fight. So let's get 1 with spears and 2 regulars. Can always evolve them to biggins as needed. Could use more squigs, but I think it's more error boys that will want even more. So let's get a couple of error boys in here. I don't believe we can upgrade them to tactical orcs, unfortunately, but we can replace them over time, slowly, essentially. What can they be upgraded to? Well, they could be upgraded to biggins and then side-graded to orc boys or boar boys, interestingly enough, which I guess regular orc boys can do as well, but, Or you could upgrade them to biggins and then take the path and get them to orc boar boy biggins. Interesting options therein. Anyway, I don't think we'll need more than 2 of these, although I suppose we could just evolve these into boar boys or error boys or stuff. Yeah, let's get some more regular orc boys then. We have a decent amount of fast movers for now. And I take it that we would need goblins to evolve into the goblin bolt thrower. I don't even see it here. Yeah, it looks like it's not a unit that you can upgrade to, which makes some sense, I guess. Maybe side grades or upgrade into a Doom Diver wouldn't make, well, might make some sense, might not make some sense. Anyway, Clan Fester, we can ignore you for now. Frankly, decent likelihood we'll leave a lot of the mountainous territories to the Skaven, as we'll want to go into the Empire, and I don't want to retread old ground a la the Dwarfs campaign, so there is that to consider. Anyway, we'll upgrade you immediately to tier 2, and I guess we'll go for another one of these Raiden stashes here. The amount of growth from this is going to be extremely minimal right now. In fact, maybe we'll want to replace you at least in... Well, does it give us additional casualties captured? I'll think about it. It also gives us control, which is decent. Actually, speaking of control, we'll go with Camp Ruckus. Like so, and on the turn, because there's nothing else to do. Tactic removed. Alrighty, well that was expected because it ran out of time, and the cooldown on this one was, what, 1 turn? Yeah, so we can get it back up next turn if we want to get it back up, so then I should giggle. We don't need the squiggy thingy. I mean, what does this really give us? The flammable squigs would work nicely in a fire army, though. Certainly going to have to pay attention to that. This is just unit requirements. It's already unlocked. Net them up for goblin infantry. And missile strength for missile infantry and chariot units, eh? Interesting. The others are probably in the process of being unlocked. Cast 10 big or little wasp spells. That's an easy one. Ooh, that's a fairly significant power up to the magics of a particular army, eh? I like it. I like it a lot. Anyway, you, Gorbad, if we don't go down here, if we move down here to capture this territory, decent likelihood that these guys eventually attack us, but, you know, we'll have to risky to get the bisky. Also have to pay attention to where this guy's main army is in order to try to confed him. Oh, he's taking another territory here. Interesting. Alrighty, well, fair enough. You, Gorbad, can... I guess go into tunneling stance. Go this way. Oh, Valmir Gosser is nearby. You know what? You two stay together just in case this guy immediately declares war on us. Maybe we should just go for this guy. We're kind of near him, and the closer the nearer we stay, perhaps the better. Anyway, and the upgrades are still on the way. The camp ruckus is still going, so I guess we could just end the turn and keep proceeding. Though wait, I want to see what the... Oh, you only have the one item? Oh, so that Armor of Gork will be quite nice, huh? Alright, fair enough. And when do we get Narla? Oh, rank 6. Ooh, wait, rank 4 next turn we will be able to unlock Ruglad's Armored Orcs to join our tactical boys. Good. Also, you can technically equip a tactic which we could use just to recruit another tactical boy, can't we? Just to get the capacity up and running. I mean, it's not like the plans are doing anything. I wonder if I'll be able to reach this next turn. We should be able to. I hope I jumped Gorbad close enough. Alright, you know what? You are going to get a little bit closer right here. With the idea that we will recruit another tactical boy next turn. Don't want to be using scrap upgrades right now, and I guess we will wait for... Oh, you actually need the units to activate some tactics, so we can give you 2 range units and a squig just to get light them up, just to get some kind of tactic going. It's probably the way to do it. Anyway, let's end the turn for now. Alright, there's our orc upgrade, just on time. Valmir Gosser staying at Kypros, which is... Ooh, we might be able to get these guys to sally out. They also have artillery, which is going to be interesting. You... What do you want to do? Probably armor for orc infantry. We'll be using them a lot, eh? The other option would be to ignore this and start going through the sort of main portion of the tree to get the bonus control and such, the economy effectively. Though, I don't know, Orky economy is a lot more loot and, you know, kill things based than trying to actually grow our settlements so much. So it isn't the biggest of deals, let's say, at least not at this current time. We will want to get the Gobbo tents everywhere as well. Up and running, and every single settlement most likely. At the very least every major settlement, possibly every minor settlement. I do remember trying to spam those Gobbo metropolises last time I played the orcs. This will give us access to artillery pieces early, which we might want. And just to be able to get to the Goblin Rock Lobbers and Goblin Bolt Throwers and fire back at the enemy. Ooh, early game Trolls would be nice too. Though their leadership is horrendous, but nonetheless. But I guess it's not going to be useful until we can reach tier 3 and actually get River Troll Hags and Stone Trolls, because regular Trolls are kind of trash. At least outside of Troll armies for variety purposes. We have here the Mangler Squigs, which we could go to right now. It's just that we can't afford them. Also, what do you do? Oh, you're just a garrison building. Alright, fine. It's boring. Let's massively increase our growth for a little while and then switch it out. Oh, Boss's Tent actually gives control as well, does it? That's not bad. Alright, let's start with the Boss's Pole. We'll probably replace it once all the tier 3s are built up, so I think that's the way to do it. Yo. Currently at war with nobody, eh? Well, that's about to change. Gorbad, without healing, you're just gonna go on in. Would have been nice to get Ruglud's in here, but I guess we can do that later. What you can also do is grab the Gorbad's boys, get that buff passive for the Orc boys. They're gonna need it. Like so. And declare war. Would it perhaps have been better to go southward and grab a few of these territories? Maybe, but it is what it is. And, ooh, yeah, these guys will definitely sally out and fight us in the field. Sounds like a good battle to me. Yo. move on in and I guess into raiding camp stance. Do you get any buffs for raiding camp stance? Do we get like a +5 melee defense like a regular in camp? Apparently not. We do get bonus charge bonus and stuff. Fair enough. Go into raiding camp stance. Experience gain for units. You know what? Go for WAAAGH Begins. Can you go into WAAAGH Begins? I don't know. Next time I'll try to figure that out. As for you, you can get Brain Burst until we get to the... until we get Foot of Gork, you're just going to have to rely on Brain Burst and Gaze of Mork to do damage. Otherwise, we will end the turn, and I presume you will sally out, preventing us from the needing... Ooh, there's that Lord. Preventing us from needing to besiege the walls. Alright, skip. Well, you know what, just in case they don't sally out, I'm 99% sure that they will, because they have some annoying stuff, including 3 artillery pieces, and some pistoliers and stuff. But nonetheless... let's not risk it. Let's do that. And then let's end the turn. Alright, yes indeed, they will sally out. It looks good to me. And now they got another little reinforcement moving in as well. I'm sure Gorbad's almost as happy as me to see it. Go, Gorbad. Alright, damn, Gorbad is big compared to at least the regular orc boys. I mean, they look tiny by comparison. Anyway, and I guess they'll look even tinier as we should be unlocking Gnarla anytime now and getting Gorbad on Pig. Anyway, it looks like we got a fairly decent-sized army arrayed against us. The enemy has, well, it has numbers on us, and orc, let's see, 33, 39, I'm going to compare the orc boys to the units of swords. They're about even, basically. We have 10 less armor, but we hit a little bit harder with weapon strength, and the stats, otherwise melee attack and melee defense, are roughly even. They have 9 more. We have 9 more melee attack, they have 9 more melee defense, all of which makes sense. The problem here, however, is going to be the fact that the enemy has 3 artillery pieces and a ton of range as well. We do hit one of the mortars with a Gaze of Mork, but it only brings down 2 of the enemy models, and it'll be a while before that cooldown is up, so we're just gonna have to keep working on the enemy, or working on it as best we can. Does look like the enemy... I've never seen the AI do this, but it leaves out 1 unit of swordsmen to act as scouts. I'm not entirely sure why it did this. It backed off the rest of the army, but this 1 unit was deployed out here for some reason. Fairly strange. Maybe a hiccup in the AI's code, or maybe the pathing selection, as maybe there wasn't enough room in the sort of corner where the AI has decided to hide itself, doing a little bit of corner camping while it waits for the reinforcements to arrive, even if it ain't too much in the way of reinforcements. Anyway, we continue to make our way towards the enemy army. And this isolated unit will be heavily damaged by the time we get there. That said, we are going to have one of our own units heavily damaged, as well as the enemy unit of Outriders is gunning down this unit of orc boys with spears. There ain't no way they're catching them, especially with the suppression dropping them to 19 speed and due to the 40% reduction. Gorbad makes his way first into the fray towards the enemy units of regular spears and swords, but more importantly the enemy great swords, which is what he was heading towards. Somebody has to deal with those great swords, and well, our regular orc boys are certainly not going to be capable of it. You're gonna get a brain burst coming down in the midst of the enemy army. Probably not a lot of damage, but well, better than nothing. And let's see, 1 kill, but 5.6k damage. Otherwise, we have our big pile of fast movers who looped around the enemy and are moving through their line, hoping to ignore as many of those pikes and whatnot as possible and head into the giant pile of enemy crossbows and whatnot. The enemy Outriders have already killed off our unit of orc boys here, or at least severely damaged them, but we are now firing back at them with the tactical boys and the orc error boys as well. And hopefully they can do enough damage with the support, such as it is, of the Goblin Bolt Thrower. Anyway, the main line is engaged in two places. The sort of melee brawl devolved into two mini skirmishes, one here above the cliff and then one here below, where Gorbad is in the midst of the fight. Fortunately, though, since most of the enemy melee units are distracted, they're not keeping the squigs and the pump wagons away from the enemy archers, which is definitely pretty critical thing to do. As our range units charge on in, we're going to activate Gorbad's WAAAGH and buff them up to try to take out those artillery pieces fast as we can. Certainly can't have those mortars firing into our blobs of orcs anymore. And here come the pump wagons to do a little bit of help as well. And that's a big old pile of enemy infantry up there, and ooh, Gorbad's down to about half of his HP. He is completely surrounded by enemies, including the armor-piercing greatswords, after all. So it isn't too surprising, but we do have to be careful with him. Fortunately, though, he is anchoring the line, and Big Boy with all his armor is going to be needed to absorb as much HP as he can, as the orcs, or the orc boys, are starting to suffer a little bit. Another orc boy unit has broken, and several of them are in pretty bad shape, though it does look like we have managed to take care of at least the enemy artillery this time around. A second brain burster has hit the enemy line, and hopefully that'll have done a little bit more damage, as there were no great swords this time to absorb the hits, and giving the shaman 19k damage. At this point, though, his kills remain relatively low, but it's not like we have too many spells to get a lot of kills. This would be a really nice opportunity for a foot of Gork or possibly Mork, but alas, we don't have those levels as yet. Oh well, good old-fashioned brawl is still a pretty good time, and speaking of brawling, we do have our reinforcement on the field, another orc war boss who's going to head directly for the enemy lord, while Gorbad continues to fight those enemy greatswords. And the battle remains in the enemy's favor by a fairly large margin, which isn't surprising perhaps, as the enemy still has a lot of melee line to get through. But we are slowly but surely obliterating the enemy's back line with our fast movers. Not, mind you, without taking any hits, as it looks like one of our units of squigs has actually fled the battlefield. Our orc boar boys have gotten down to about 40% of their HP and have routed and rallied, and it looks like the pump wagons are in the same shape, which is not very good. Well, all we can do is trust that at least some of them will come back. Once again, the enemy did do a little bit of corner camping here, so we are uncomfortably close to the edge of the map, which ain't so great. Anyway, the orc war boss has arrived, and man, that's a big boy, once again towering over those little Imperials. And he's going to be facing off against the enemy pikemen while going after the enemy lord here. In the meantime, it looks like both of our pump wagons units and one of our units of squigs has returned. A third brain burster comes down on the enemy, and the balance of power has at last evened out to about 50%. The battle is still on, but it's slowly but surely turning in our favor. Gorbad continues to hold, but has actually decided to back off a little bit closer to his own line, where he's no longer surrounded by those great swords, since they were liable to do so much damage to him. And just watching some good old-fashioned melee action from Gorbad once again. Just nice to see him on foot and leading his army, and he does have a unique mount, so he'll probably not be on foot for the rest of the campaign, unless I get bored and decide to put him on foot for a few battles just because we can. Alright, lots of splash damage coming down from him. I'm not seeing any unique execution animations from him, though. At least not right now, but who knows, we might get some on pigback. There we go. Otherwise, the balance of power is finally in our favor. More of the orc boys are routing, but at the same time, so are many of the enemy units. And unlike them, we have enough fast movers to make sure that those units that rout stay routing. Or at least shatter. And by the looks of it, the enemy has grown wise to it, and at last this army will break. Definitely a close call. Several, or a lot of our line was, let's see, pretty darn heavily damaged. We're down to 10% HP, 20% HP on pretty much our entire melee line, which ain't so great. And if our cav had all routed off screen, like one of the units of Squigs did, due to the proximity of the edge of the map, we very well could have lost that. So it was definitely up to the cavalry to give this win to us. And of course, those brain bursters coming down from our mage really helped. Actually, out of curiosity, once again, where is he? Is in there somewhere? Oh, there he is. We got 75 kills, which ain't that much, but 33,000 damage primarily through brain burst and I guess a couple of gazes of Mork. Nice job. Ooh, there we go, a Pyrrhic victory, and definitely a close call as our melee line did start to buckle towards the end there, though it looks like we were just able to pull out the win with our fast movers, helping to dish out that extra damage and rear charging the enemies to cause those much needed morale shocks. Though admittedly all of our currently fast movers are very fragile, so even that sent several of them running. In fact, one of the Squigs, this one, moved off the battlefield with 77 units remaining and 3 or 80% of their HP. Oh well. 2,000 money is good, but we will need to destroy the remnants of these guys, and man, do we heal up? That's a question. 2,000 gold, but I think we've no choice but to heal up here, or else the auto-assault might kill half of our army, so I guess we'll eat those captives. Yum yum. Alright, you don't really need an obsidian amulet, but we'll give that to you later. And we've reached rank 4, so we are able to get Rugloods on the field now. You, go here to our territory, get to Rugloods, 2,000 gold expensive, and hopefully that'll help decently with the auto-resolve. You, Gorbad, I guess should probably save your points, though admittedly, does Du Bois benefit to the tactical? It does. You know what? I think maybe just to help with the auto resolve, we'll do Du Bois, which does both melee and missile upgrades for all the orc infantry, effectively. Yeah. Alright, that also means we should probably transfer. None of these guys are as hurt as I thought they'd be. Anyway, if we auto resolve what remains here, we're still okay. Good. We'll auto resolve this. And the damage isn't too severe. Good, occupy. Lovely. Bad Moon Banner, melee defense +5, not bad. I wonder if that can only be applied to gobos. De Plan, Power of Dewa is unlocked. Ooh, hello, what does that mean? Oh, we got one of these bigger plans, and no actual plan is unlocked or strategy is unlocked as yet, but we're working on it. And we're working on these as well. Can you, do you have to have a big strategy, a master strategy, and a big plan? Or can you do any kind from anyone? I guess we should find out and just pop one. Let's try Power of Dewa. If we put this here, will it unequip this? Or will it go... I guess we're about to find out. Do this. No, you can use as many as you want from any, so we can all do master tactics. Alright, well that'll be swovely. Herd mentality. To unlock this, we just need one more squiggy, eh? Alright, well, we should be able to recruit one relatively quick. Quiggy. Also, we have what here? Orc boys and orc spears. Okay, don't collect the income here for obvious reasons, because it's basically nothing. Your casualty or punishment is also basically nothing, but it is what it is. If we hit Lugndaluni, since he doesn't want to confederate, we can immediately get this faction on our side, though they also don't dislike us. We could make use of them for now. Hold the coastline, do their own thing for a little while, maybe build up some of their territories and then confederate them later. Matorka's already moving to tier 3 after all. Frankly, we should be doing so as well. Heldegrad rather, will go for Greenskin encampment, like so. Keep the camp ruckus. And look at that bonus unit XP as well. And then here, I guess, at least to start... If you're going to tier 3, we should probably get the goblin toolbox that we can't build it right now due to the lack of the population surplus cost, but we'll be able to do it immediately, and most likely get the river troll hags up and running. They're pretty critical in the early game. The regular trolls are a little bit on the too expensive side right now, especially as we're making effectively no cash. And the Horde gives us income from all buildings plus 30% to all regions and province, but if we're not collecting the income, it is effectively nothing, and we need bonus control. I guess we have no choice but to build the boss's camp then. Counteract the negative control in order to actually build stuff. Yeah, keep building a totem pole. At least the infrastructure, such as it is for the orcs, is super cheap, so that works out well for us. Hey, you! Orc Shaman. Guess we could get the power of WAAAGH. Brainburst, Fist of Gork. We didn't have a lot of mana available. I'm gonna say 1 in the power of WAAAGH. We should probably, well, it's only 1 reduction. This allows us to overcast it, which gives us additional armor piercing explosion damage, which isn't crazy useful in the early game. We'll obviously want everything. Yeah, I'll get Headbutt. Breath ability helps clear out piles of enemies. Also, do we merge these guys or do we build new ones? Fortunately, regular orcs and regular gobos are very, very cheap. And oh, right, we have the tactical boys. Alright, you know what? You go here. Trade. Take the 2 pump wagons because they're basically unharmed and don't need the additional casualty or punishment rate. I think that's probably the way to do it. Unless, wait, this gives us... That's 5% casualty or punishment rate. I do wonder whether that's more than what the Gorbad's getting just within the settlement. Actually, let's, out of curiosity, you go into a raiding camp on our own territory. You... 21 and 4, just out of curiosity. And 22 and 4, very, very, very slightly more, but basically not a significant difference. So whatever. You can build the tactical boys, and I guess you can recruit some gobos. I assume that we don't recruit anybody cheaper. Honestly, the gobos aren't that much cheaper than the orc boys, and we've got more upgrades on the orc boys. Plus, we gotta evolve them anyway, so we might as well train them up, give them some weapons, etc. I like so. And until we have a WAAAGH up and running. Oh, we can actually call a WAAAGH right now if we wanted to. I guess we'll wait until WAAAGH for the construction cost and recruitment cost reduction bonuses before popping it. I assume it doesn't pop itself, does it? I don't remember. I guess we'll find out. Oh, you have 1 extra unit that you need. Now we'll just transfer it after. Wait, you... Oh, right. You have the regular orc boys. Oh, neither of you can move now. Well, that's just swabbly. All right, we'll just leave them there. Wait, can we get a plan on you? Any kind? I guess what we could do is we could transfer 2 range units in the squig, give them light them up, and then... Nah, I'm too lazy to do it. Just skip it on turn. Blorg. Can't say I don't love the name. Gorbad, looks like you're... Ooh, you can't reach Mentreda. Alright, fine, fair enough. You are going to go into raiding camp stance. You're going to go right into their territory, which I assume 22 and 3. That's exactly the same amount, but we'll get to raid while we do it, so that's fine. And you could do the same thing, just approach together with Gorbad. And let's see what we got in terms of defenders. Not all that much, especially considering we have troops. We could actually recruit more. At the very least, more piles of orc boys to throw at the enemy. I don't think it's worth our time to get the fighting pit. We should probably save the... yeah. Save the population surplus. Kypros, we can, however, upgrade you, Greenskin Camp, and -10, eh? We're gonna need a big boss tent here immediately. Musta Fields generates a tiny amount of money, but not enough for us to be concerned with. And just out of curiosity, do these buildings, the military support buildings, no, they don't actually generate money. It's only the regular military buildings that do. But, you know, fair enough. The Raiden hideout is still the superior building because it gives us post-battle loot faction-wide, and that stacks up eventually to crazy amounts. And just need a lot of territory to do it, which we're working on. Huh. Morton's home, you're in the way, but we can ignore you until we're ready to either confed you or or beat you into confederation. What about you? Ogre Kingdom, pay swords. We should really get some ogre allies if we can. It looks like the first one was wiped out by the undead here, and, well, decent likelihood they won't be super friendly with us. Anyway, I believe we're good for another end turn. I don't think we need to recruit anymore, at least not right now, so let's skip, 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 and end the turn.
Boys, no shame when I'm thinking.
Tactic removed. Yeah, it'll do that. And would you look at that? Luggin the Looney. Ooh, he has a Doom Diver catapult. I wonder what's the likelihood that we can steal it? I have never in my entire life been able to steal an artillery piece. And I have, let's just say I've played the game a lot. Anyway, you. And yeah, that's definitely the lord of this faction. Three free settlements? I think three settlements. Whatever. Let us strike. You're gonna go into WAAAGH begins, you're gonna go into WAAAGH begins, and while the WAAAGH is not beginning, these guys will be confederating. I'm not crazy, right? Greenskins can confederate by beating each other up, right? I guess we're about to find out. Declare war. Oh, I could have gotten the tactic back up. Yeah, whatever. Not like it matters. Casualties low. Let's, well, let's see about fighting this one, shall we? Still worthy of a fight, and a little bit of greenskin on greenskin action. We'll show the regular orc and goblin error boys the superior of the tactical boys.
Have you had enough yet, boys? No? Want some more fighting? Then go get more! Whoa!
Alrighty, here we go. Doom Divers coming at us and smashing into Ruglud's armored orcs. Not so great for their debut, but on the other hand, they're not going to take too much damage from the first volley. Anyway, nice to see the Ruglud's armored orcs on field, and they also do have that bolstered armor, so at least once they're near to the tactical boys, and we're going to get those guys even more heavily armored. We'll see how the crossbows, how effective they will be with the bleed application on them, as a bleed application is pretty darn solid in SFO. Anyway, we're going to bum rush the enemy army. We are not going to wait for the artillery shootout to happen. Besides, we did manage already to destroy several of the Doom Diver crews with a nice big old gaze of Mork at this distance. Pretty darn solid. And it's not like we can wait for our single unit of bolt throwers to do the damage, as it's going to probably take far too long to do so, and besides, we can just switch targets to the snotling pump wagons, though even then, probably not for long. Vindictive Glare comes back at us, but our units of boar boys will charge those pump wagons, and hopefully these not being spiky rollers should take decently quick damage and be rendered relatively useless. At least one of them will. The other will charge our main line, as our piles of orc boys will charge their piles of orc boys, well, for a little bit of good old-fashioned orc on orc action. Might be a little bit difficult to tell our army apart from theirs, though I suppose we do have the red color scheme, and they have that sort of puke green yellowish color scheme. But otherwise, our units are very samey. Ooh, nice to see those biggins towering over the orcs as we prepare to take their WAAAGH from them. Now, I fear that because the enemy is in march stance, we won't be able to capture their Doom Divers. Not that I expect to succeed at capturing Doom Divers, mind you. Anyway, it looks like the first of the pump wagons on the right flank has been destroyed, defeated by the boar boys. Unfortunately, one of our squig herds, super fragile as they are, has similarly been defeated by an enemy squig herd in combination with a unit of orc boys with spears, which is pretty darn solid. Once we lose control of them due to the rampage, there isn't too much we can do about enemy additional units. I wonder if there's a tactic that will remove their rampage from them. Or possibly a technology, I guess we'll see. Anyway, the fight between the biggins and the regular orcs continues. Our range units continue to lay down their withering fire, especially the crossbows of Ruglud's armored orcs. And we got 35 kills on them, which isn't too crazy, but they're up to 10k damage, so I'm willing to bet that they'll have done more damage than the other archers. They had also sent both those orc spears as well as those units of squigs packing. while our own squigs held them as a rampaging anvil, I suppose. Alright, and just a little bit more work. I guess there's a lot of orc-on-orc fights in terms of the lore, so this is definitely something that should, could, and would be, and does happen. Pretty much constantly. Probably more fighting amongst orcs and other orcs and orcs than anything else, for that matter, especially in areas where the territory is teeming with orcs. Anyway, with that, the enemy lord runs. We don't really need to chase them down, although with Mr. Gorbad chasing him down, axe ready to deliver the final blow looks pretty darn good. Always a shame that the game doesn't let you hide this window to take a final screenshot, as I've gotten some really great sort of freeze frames at the very last second of the battle. But anyway, March stance means the enemy army is destroyed, and I presume this faction's territory is ours. Alrighty, there we go. Moment of truth. Let's find out whether we get to keep their stuff or whether we lose a decent amount of healing. But it's 1650 money, and our money is very much in the process of running out, so we're gonna have to take it rather than heal. And if we lose a few units, well, we got a few greenskins to spare, don't we? Ransom captives. And alright, now this guy dies. Tactic unlocked. Shoot to runts. Okay, you do get to confederate, I was wondering. Enemy faction leader is killed permanently, and yeah, we'll confederate them. I wonder whether we get the public order reduction from doing this, or whether this form of confederation ignores that. I guess we'll find out. Anyway, let's give this a read. Lugndalune, leader of the Yellow-Eye tribe, has been defeated. The Greenskins tribal hierarchy is brutal, but simple. Bash in enough heads and take enough loot. Sooner or later, you're going to get some mobs and become a war boss. Beat up another war boss in battle, his mobs will become yours too, since loyalty is a concept that neither orcs or goblins really care for. Be aware that subjugating another war boss in his tribe also means taking over their territory, leading to a larger empire to oversee. Perhaps just keep things simple and bash in his head too. Confed. And you do still get the debuff, huh? Go figure. Alright, well, bit of a shame, but what can you do? Got free glittering scales out of it, at least. You can hold on to it, bud. Alrighty, well, I'm not super happy about the Confederation debuff in the early game, but hey, if we need to farm a few enemy rebellions, I wouldn't say no to that either. Don't collect the income. Did you really hold territory in 3 different bloody provinces? Maybe that wasn't such a great idea, but it's too late now, so what are you gonna do? Somjek, we might... Okay, don't raid. Muncha Edbud, what do you have? De Cunningest. Stock for trolls and oh, that's amazing. What the heck? Oh, wow, but leadership reduction for trolls. That ain't great. But that's actually really nice. Huh. We could do nasty skulkers and trolls in the early game. Massive amount of vanguard deployment and stock. Should be pretty neat. Just need leadership bonuses, but yeah, we're gonna keep you. We are definitely gonna keep you. What do you have here, by the way? Orc Boys and Orc Biggins, which is also great. Give it to Matorka for now. Minus 16 is gonna be horrific, but, well, hopefully Gorbad can come back around and fix it. Fix it, fix it, fix it. I think we'll need to delete the fighting pit, though. We will need the boss tent here, but until we can get it, we can just build a Yumi pens, even if temporary, to get the bonus control on the growth faction wide. It's not like we'll be collecting money here right now or in any province other than our main one, which with the Confederation debuff now is also not able to do so, but it is what it is. Delete the master fields, we'll need more public order control, etc. And go this up to tier 3. Alrighty. We can also now declare a WAAAGH. Where's these guys' capital? Oh, that's Mantreda. Yeah, we'll do it. And these guys are worth...
Is the will of the boisterous and belligerent brother gods of the Greenskins. Gawk and mock. Calling one in either of their names will bring their favor. be it brutally cunning or cunningly brutal.
I love you, advisor man. Select target. This will give us +6 control and experience gain, plus 10% for units, and then this will give us a reload time reduction plus 10%. Wait. Big WAAAGH, reload time, physical resistance versus weapon strength. So damage versus resistance. I'm gonna say in the early game resistance might be the more valuable thing, although the extra damage now that we have decent amounts of range units might be more helpful. Especially since our first army is a little bit more focused on those rugleds and those tactical boys. Alright, fine, Gork it is. Alright, we got 20 turns. I think we can do that. This is our target. It might have been beneficial not to do it that way, but whatever. Gorbad. I assume that you guys are going to be able to auto-resolve Mentrada because it looks like there's nobody there, really. Oh, there's an ogre camp there, eh? Alright, oh, wait, do these guys hate us for confederating? They probably do. But they'd probably be too cowardly to attack us anyway, so we're fine. Alrighty, auto-resolve this, I presume, because there's basically nothing there. Oh, we got a tiny little WAAAGH reinforcement. Isn't that nice? Alrighty, and then we'll occupy the place. Warbore for Steve. And tactic removed, province secured, WAAAGH target occupied. To obtain your trophy, ensure that you still occupy the target when the call to WAAAGH duration ends. The additional WAAAGH units shall stay to help your armies defend. Did it say which of these units we get from completing the WAAAGH? Well, I guess we'll see. Anyway, you're good. You can move into... Oh, I was about to say change camp, but we probably shouldn't be raiding our territory right now. You're gonna go into Camp Ruckus. Maybe this place will not actually... can we build spices? Doesn't seem like a very orky thing. Now, I figured spices might be replaced by some kind of mushroom farm from a goblin, but apparently not the case, which is fine. You. I guess we'll go for Yumi pens, and then similarly Dahord and Raiden Lookout. 700, eh? You know, maybe we'll start with the raiding stashes here this time, and then build the Greenskin camp. Alrighty. No territory collecting income. Oh, we're up to 9 here, which is pretty decent. So we can soon probably start collecting. Can't do anything here. Oh, the WAAAGH is counteracting at least some of the negative public order, so at least that's doing something for us. Somjek, I think we might actually want to build a defensive structure here. Barakvar is likely to declare war on us very soon, and we're also likely to overextend ourselves, at least until we get another army. But anyway, skip. I also remember that there was a critical tech for the orcs that allows you, when capturing a settlement, to capture said settlement with bonus growth, or not bonus growth, but like bonus population. This allows you to sack or raise and then recapture. I wish I remembered where exactly this thing is, because it was really important. Couldn't be one of these, could it? No, this is just plan unlocks. Or scrap upgrade unlocks, rather. Oh, look at all those different upgrades that we could have. Exciting. Anyway. Alright, well, I do... Oh, right, I forgot about Ugluk the Orbital and Arachnic Spider Claw. I completely forgot about these guys. Yeah, so we have like little mini legendary lords. Again, it's been a while since orcs, so yeah. Man, we might actually need to go to control next after heavy metal. Probably the decent way to do it. Man, maybe it's out here somewhere. No, that's control +2 and no province when army is present. I thought that was it. Oh, well, I'm sure we'll find it at some point. Or, you know what, I'll probably take a look and try to find it between the episodes, because that'll be easier. Anyway, you can, I guess, hold on to the pile of shiny stuff. Well, frankly, the public order and growth might be the better option, but anyway, for now, it's in the turn. Let's see where those guys go. Where everybody goes. And I don't like the fact that Grimace is raiding us. We might have to kill him. Unless we ally with them. I wonder how friendly they are with the Imperials. I really don't like him raiding us, though. I wish there was a way to tell the ogres to, you know, stop it or die, basically, but oh well. What does this do? Alright, capture Iron Rock. We'll get there. Faction destroyed, crossed clubs. Alright, it looks like they've been killed by... Okay, you guys are just willy-nilly trespassing in our territory. I think these ogres are gonna have to go. Maybe, well, maybe we can ally with the man-eaters, and they might be upset about this, but we can't have them raiding with their stupid camp here. It's going to cause too many problems in the early game. Orc infantry buffs, nice. A Razor standard for recruiting 30 units, we'll work on it. And not gonna spend any scrap on this right now, but we are going to start moving towards no complaining and get that bonus control. Oh, you know what, start with the bonus growth and then move to the bonus control afterwards. It's only an extra 4 turns, not going to be a significant enough difference. These guys are toward Bugman's Brewery. We could, well, we could certainly go for some beer here. So yeah, anyway, Gorbad, I would like you to take up another plan. Get Gorbad's boys to get that upkeep reduction at the very least. What does Power of the WAAAGH do again? Oh, that's the, yeah, that's fine. And it's now 5 turn duration, eh? It's not bad. A little bit tempted to do it. You need what? 4 of any orc infantry and then 1 shaman. I guess it's a pretty easy thing to acquire. Shoot durance, and yeah, we didn't capture the artillery piece, but I'm willing to bet that it was because it was destroyed anyway, because it was the enemy was in march stance. Well, enemy. Anyway, I mean they were the enemy at the time. You know what I mean. I don't know what I mean. Anyway, yeah, let's do this, might as well. Gotta be using these plans, otherwise if... Oh, damn, I didn't click the second one and it overwrit the first one. Ha! But this is a 1-turn cooldown, so it's not a big deal. Anyway, you gotta die. You go here. You get out of the settlement. Go into WAAAGH Begins. And then I guess we'll lose WAAAGH Begins and Hidden Trader Camp right after, but anyway, kill this thing. Auto-resolve for obvious reasons. This better not damage our army. Or armies. Alright, and... so kill the Yumis, and this is the big Yumi's trophy. Alright, fair enough. Alright, you can still go. You cannot, so you're going to move like this. You're going to... well, I guess we'll use... it doesn't really matter who. We gotta come and trade a camp either way, and then move to Brasov and then the other place. Brasov? That sounds like a... was that the name of this place? Yeah, sounds like a Kislevite place, doesn't it? Am I crazy? Or does that sound Kislevite? Anyway, you will hopefully be able to reach Moslak, so we will go there. Does Moslak sound Kislevite? maybe I'm just got Kislevites on the mind today. Anyway, okay, Caravan. I don't really care about you. We don't really caravan about you. I was wondering whether we could trade, but, you know, Greenskins can't trade, so not so much. Public order's okay here. You stick around some, Jack. We can now afford the defensive structure, which isn't too bad. We just delete it after, since until we have this entire province... although that'll be soon. But if the rebellion is going to happen, it's going to happen there, so I think we'll leave it alone for now. As in, we'll build the building. You should start on those raiding stashes. I think we'll get more money out of the post-battle loot right now than we will out of anything else, so yeah, just gotta spam the post-battle loot in every single location. Most important thing we can build. They're also not crazy expensive or anything like that, so yeah, no. Anyway, you guys getting ready to end another turn, River Skiros. How many turns do we have of the Confed reduction? 4. Alright, fair enough. Skip, and Gorbad, you have leveled, but I think we're saving your points now. Well, you know what, let's get one more point into boys, and then we'll save it. I guess since we need these things to be at rank 15, and we need to be at rank 30 for every lord, it's another good reason to just get every lord leveled up. Are you able to cross this, or are you not? Okay, so now this does count as a river crossing, meaning we would be in theory safe to move Muncha Edbutt out here and try to move to reinforce. And just to get the additional XP. I wouldn't want to lose this guy because I really like that trait though. Alright, and oh wow, you are so cheap. 102, a little gobbo, you are dirt cheap and I love it. It's working for me, and that's a Night Goblin War Boss. Significantly cheaper than the shamans, which I guess makes sense because the shamans can have an Arachnarok spider and, you know, can cast magic. Yeah, I do really like that Distabiest. We're gonna make use of you. You're the Shroomiest. which is kind of meh compared to some of this stuff. Not that the Winds of Magic cost reduction isn't too bad. We got another Discariest. Berserk for boys. Ooh. Oh, I don't dislike that. The only problem is it's for basic boys. It doesn't include biggins. It's physical resistance and rampage. This could be a good leader for some savage orcs, but I assume that you want, I assume that you want a savage orc shaman to lead savage orcs. I really like how cheap these guys are. I'm tempted to get another Da Cunningest, to be honest. Let's get him. It's 100 gold. Level him up. I'm sure we can find uses for more than one army that has some trolls in it, wouldn't you say? End turn. Wait, I wonder if these guys are willing to peace out now that we've killed some of their stuff. Yeah, they are. Alright, that's funny. That's free gold. That worked out well. We're busy out here for now, so why not? Also, let's check quick deals here. Clan Fester. Now, yeah, once again, I'm happy with them holding the mountains, especially if there are mountains where we don't have any, kind of landmarks for ourselves. So give us money and non-aggress with us, at least for now. And if we destroy them later, then we'll destroy them later as needed. We're orcs after all. Anyway, end turn. Alrighty, Winds of Pain, Winds of Magic Power Reserve plus 10 per turn for all armies of all factions. That actually does really help us in the early game, or at least right now. Ooh, also, are you able to biggin up? You are not. You need to be rank 5. Alright, fair enough. These boar boys are getting closer to rank 5, though. And how's that Mangler Squiggage? We need to be rank 4, eh? Well, we're nearly there. Super Squiggers are the explosive ones. That would be a waste, I think. Anyway, you... I assume that you can't go into WAAAGH and still hit the place? No, you cannot. Darn. Huh. This is an extra 25% XP for units, eh? I assume that you can attack while being in the stance. Just double checking. Yes, you can. Alright, you know what? Just to get the additional XP for units, we're going to have Gorbad trade your units to WAAAGH, but then you reinforce. Who needs XP most? Anybody that can level up, essentially. So, well, I mean, everybody pretty much can level up. Just trade as many of the orcs as possible. We can ignore the tacticals and the rugloods because they can't level. Like so. Tactic removed. Oh, right. Well, too bad. It's necessary. We need the units more than we need the tactics. This will resolve and occupy. Solid sack and Lutamant, but we're trying to establish our first territories. Hey, Trickster's Helm. Nice find. Blorg, I guess you can have that since you're our second army. But that upkeep reduction also means that you can basically lead any kind of units, which is nice. We'll give the glittering scales to this fella. Like so. Then, what we need to... Oh, you can still move? Oh, no, you can't still move. Those are the hero. These guys can besiege, so what we need to do is we need to take the units back now. It is necessary. So, take the squiggies, take... I'll take the boar boys back and the spears. I wonder whether we should take the pump wagons as well. At least until we have more boar boys. Oh. I overdid that. Do this. Alright, there you go. Good enough for now. Also at level 8, which we're nearly there, we'll get Goblin Wolf Riders. Alright, fair enough. Also, you can get Gorbad's boys back up and running. And then you can basically get nothing useful at the current time up and running. Or, that's not entirely accurate, it's just that we don't have a shaman for you, and I guess we will need to build a shaman building. I'm guessing these guys weren't able to reinforce, but they're close. They will be able to reinforce for next fight. Oh, you might have actually been able to. Well, I didn't think that you could, so I'm stupid. Alrighty, and wait, should I have put you into march stance? I should have, but it's too late. Not that I think these guys can catch you or anything like that. Alrighty, building. There's probably not much in the way of it, but we should still take a look. You're able to upgrade the Raiden hideout to the next tier, which doubles up on the income from sacking, looting, and post-battle loot. We'll need to send some armies just to raise sack, loot, etc., any territory they come across, but we'll need to figure out which territories we'll want to do that to, as opposed to hold. Like I said, while the mountains are fun, I don't want to repeat Thorgrim's campaign, rather, so we could certainly loot and raise some of the Karazhan'kor. Certainly an option. Kypros, you have the control building, and then, yeah, you will need more control, so boss's tent needs to be done everywhere. We'll do the stunty cages for now, they're still super cheap. And we will not build a heap of shiny stuff here because you can't collect income right now. Anyway, Moslak, you have that thing, but we'll upgrade you to the next level. And I believe we're basically out of money. We will do the boss's shack here, however, for the additional control, and I think we'll start collecting the income. It's not much, but with Camp Ruckus, we're still gaining something. Something. Better than nothing. And... we could upgrade Zvorak next turn, or we could actually get access to Spiky Rollers and Goblin Rock Lobbers. It would be nice. Or River Troll Hags, or Shamans for the other army. Wait, where are Shamans? I did want the Black Orc Big Boss. You have the Night Goblin Big Boss. You have the regular Goblin Big Boss. Shamans? Oh, they're here. We need tier 3 for capacity. Oh. Okay, well, fair enough. You know what? Just wait. Skip, end turn. Now, this faction's nearly done for, though the nearby factions will most likely not be super happy with us. Oh, I can't wait to fight dwarfs in the early game. That should be some difficult fighting up ahead. Anyway. Alright, diplomatic relations plus 40 with Scabby Eye for defeating Sea Dragons. I don't think that's going to happen, game, but thanks, I guess. Gelt is hanging around with a near full stack. We'll see about that. Here becomes Legend, Helm of Discord, not a bad find. Gorbad, Kid Brasov, everybody else reinforce. Oh, there's that other army. I was wondering where you went to. Is this worth fighting? I mean... it's got something. I wonder what we got in terms of defenses here at, wait. Subject is our territory. How many... is this your last territory? Oh, it is your last territory. Kind of out, to be honest. Alright, I assume that... we'll see if the auto-resolve, what the auto-resolve says after we move everybody else in. Everybody get to leeching. Y'all need XP, and you need a fair bit of it. And Gorbad's getting closer and closer to rank 12, which has been pretty necessary. Samjek... I'm no longer sure that the ditches are necessary here, to be honest. Let's actually delete that. And next turn we'll be able to upgrade you. We'll also go for those additional Raiden stashes, since we're building them everywhere, though you will actually need to prefer the boss tent for the public order. Alright, so speaking of, we built the boss tent here. It's starting to collect the money. We have 2 more turns of Confederation. And we will need the next boss tent. Wait, we are building one here. We can't collect money here yet, but what we can do is upgrade it to next tier, even though it's expensive. And just hope that it doesn't immediately fall to some jerko Yumis. What do we have here? Decisive victory, low casualties? Yeah, I think that's not... it's not worth it compared to what we've fought and how well we've done against those that we have fought. Though the damage is decent, admittedly. Occupy. Alright, there we go. And a Forbidden Rod. Damn, we got some good stuff. Moonhowl is on field. River... I didn't see what it was, but anyway. Camp Ruckus.
Maybe I will.
You, sir. You're gonna go for Helm of Discord, Forbidden Rod, and... oh, right. You're gonna lose the Glittering Scales, but that's fine, at least for now. Definitely get the Obsidian Amulet if you're going to use that Forbidden Rod. You're gonna need it, sir. And sort of Swift Slaying, I guess we'll give to Gorbad, because I presume... oh, right, no, he says that, Ogre Blade. Alright, the rest of you is fine. Are fine. Whatever. What's the likelihood that you attempt to besiege us? It exists. But I'd rather not risk it. We could raid and heal up a little bit more. Oh, wow, minus 26. Yeah, never mind. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Oh, we can actually build the pastures here, or something. Beast Slayers. Recruitment reduction for Boar, Wolf, and Spider Rider. You know, it's fair enough. We'll certainly put those to good use. You will still build the... shouldn't the Raiden stashes be here? The heck? Okay, weird, but whatever. Raiden stashes and I believe it was these that we were going to do everywhere. Captive spits. Yeah, go with the captive spits. And I assume we don't have any room for any... Oh, we can do the same thing here. Captive spit. And yes, we'll do some military provinces, territories. You know, actually, after this faction is dead, we might want to take a few turns to just sort of raid some territories and then build up our own territories. Let the Confederation debuff pass us by, and then just get more buffs for ourselves of various kinds. Oh, save money for... Still very tempted by that River Troll Hag, but we really do want the artillery. I'm still thinking about it. Skip. Ah, screw it, just build the artillery building. Although it wouldn't work very nicely with the plan that we had to go for nasty skulkers in combination with trolls. These guys are still pretty darn cheap. We could just build this building here instead. Unlock some Night Goblin Fanatics, Night Goblin Archers. They're all still relatively cheap, but we all still can't quite afford them. You know, just wait. Huh, really wasn't expecting that. No, negative growth, annoying. Really wasn't expecting that. Rather than attacking, despite this being the last army, these guys decided to, well, not attack, huh? Go figure. Oh well. Talisman of Preservation for getting 8 technologies. Well on the way. Alrighty, we need to make sure that our little gobbo friends are able to leech XP, because we like their traits. I do wonder if the traits are specific to the Goblin heroes, as in whether we're able to get these same traits on the Goblin Shaman, as in this trait, the Cunningest. Wait, you two are both the Cunningest, right? Yeah. Once again, I do really like that the Craziest Berserk trait as well for our basic Orc boys. I think it'll be really, really nice. And Boar boys, potentially. It's a fairly significant buff. They'll still be fragile, but with sufficient scrap upgrades and tactics, I think that'll it'll definitely fix that issue. Anyway, are you not in range? Go here. Or whatever. I'm gonna go here, and I switched you to WAAAGH Begins, which is good. We should be able to auto-resolve this. We don't really care about the WAAAGH units, to be perfectly frank. Certainly they're helpful, but they're not so helpful that we need to worry about it so much. I think we'll do the captives just for the additional casualty or punishment rate and growth. Could be pretty nice here. Earthing Rod, alright. There we go. Now, the closest enemy territory is here in Wissenheim, so I guess we're going to start moving towards it with all of you at the same time, and then we'll see who declares war on us next. While we raid these guys for a little bit. I am willing to bet somebody here that's bordering us will declare war on us, and we'll have to bounce back towards whatever territory. Our garrisons are kind of mess, so that's probably not much we will be able to do about it, but it is what it is. Anyway, keep these at level 1, I guess. I'd like to upgrade them, but... then again, it is a good thing to upgrade. Oh, we also can get the Goblin Sawmills, but they don't actually do too much here for us. At least not right now. We have the single boss pole here rather than the stunty cages. -1 with all factions except Greenskins. That's going to, it's gonna hurt eventually. I'm gonna say raid and hideout. Especially in our starting province, because it's actually generating some cash, 415, even if it ain't much yet. It'll change eventually. We got one more turn of that Confed, so at least that'll go away, and we'll be able to start collecting income in a couple territories. End turn. Alright, technology research, hero action, cost and hero success chance. Well, for the tech thieves that we will eventually have, that'll certainly be helpful. You guys, are you close enough if in raiding camp stance? You go into raiding camp stance? Yeah, you can, alright. And I guess you're gonna go here and start raiding. I assume the rest of you can't actually... Oh, actually, you can. This is really gonna start annoying that little faction, but that's their problem, not ours. And ooh, hello. Bernath Grundedrak is here. What's the likelihood that he attacks us? Oh, wow, he has iron breakers? Would our entire army be able to deal with them? I have no idea. Anyway, you're gonna move here. These guys are gonna take a long time to heal at this rate. But it is what it is. Alright, how are we doing out here? Public order? Ah, yes, okay, public order is okay. Well, okay, maybe not so okay. Never mind. Still negative. They just need a few more of the control buildings then. Fair enough. Go for the Yumi pens here, and we will upgrade these Yumi pens as well. You at 13 are okay to collect at least a little bit of cash. Go for the stunty cages as well. Hilarious names for everything. And you have that boss pole. You know what? We'll eventually replace the boss pole, so we could, in theory, just build the captive's pit here anyway. And yes, I'm aware that these things generate no cash. But the Raiden hideouts do. You know what? Maybe we go for no, we can't go for the Horde. Control -2. It's too much for us right now. Alright, Yumi pens it is. At least it was an easy choice. I think that was the only thing that we could build because we're not building anything at Akaris. Akaeus, rather. And just hold off on it, like, for a bit because we can't afford the... we can't afford that stuff anyway. How's the raiding? It's actually not giving us all that much. Probably not worth raiding over just taking their territory. Oh, they are not going to be happy about this either. How many territories do you have, incidentally? You've got 6, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Need a base in order to attack the Empire. I guess we're just gonna end the turn. Faction destroyed, Sea Dragons castaways, Exodus, another negative growth thing. Alright. Annoying, but ultimately, probably, hopefully, not a major issue. Can finally start collecting income here. It's not much, but it's not honest work, and that's fine. What else do we have here? Karnos Forest. We will want to upgrade these, and they are still cheap to upgrade. We'll at least upgrade you. And just so I don't have to look at you every single darn turn. Trolls are still too expensive. We should build one of these here, though, and maybe we'll start on the Forest Goblin thing. Forest Goblins are pretty darn solid in the early game. The lethal poison, yes, they're fragile, but the lethal poison is quite helpful. And we do need the Spider Rider building here. Oh, wait. Or is the Spider... What does this do again? Yeah, Boar, Wolf, and Spider Rider units. So we need to build a Spider Riding thing here. So we should build something else here, which I guess is then going to be the Goblin Workshop. I don't like the control reduction, but this is our best original territory, so it's probably the best place to build it anyway. And just ignore the boss pole, I guess. I'd rather upgrade Zvorak to tier 3 and then build whatever else is missing there. Anyway, you guys are really not getting much in terms of rating, at least out of this. I would like to see 2 things. First of all, equip tactic. Do we not have a rating tactic? Ah, there it is. Earn a fair bit from raiding. Alright, well, let's get to work on that. Since we're not making too much raiding here in Wissenheim, though, maybe we're better off just sacking some of these places and getting the XP rather than just immediately taking them over. Who are you fighting, by the way? Scabby Eye. Well, they'll be fighting us eventually, but I want to go north into the Empire, which is definitely on the menu. I'd also like to see what we have available to build here in terms of recruitments. Mostly just boys and stuff. Yabbos, squiggies, and oh, speaking of, you guys are getting ready to get manglin'. Anyway, you're going to go into WAAAGH, and oh, you're just out of range? In theory. But I guess we could have somebody else actually attack. You can reinforce, yeah, fine. Blorg, it's all you, bud. Declare, wait. You are currently at war with the Redhorn tribe and somebody else. Redhorn tribe? Oh, we can't join a war against... Oh, that's rude. Alright, fine. North Confederacy, you are also at war with Clan Gnaw, but we don't see them, so we can't do anything about it. Alright, fair enough. Well, these places are at least collecting a little bit of income. Well, either way, I guess we're just gonna straight up declare war on you. Declare war. Yes, can't be not warring. That would be wrong. So out of curiosity, how expensive are your tactical boys? They are not super expensive, to be honest, so it might behoove us to get a few more tactics chosen and up and running. We just need more units in order to be able to do so. Squigs would be fairly easy, so we could just get you some squigs. Anyway, I would like you to move in and reinforce, and I would like you to move... Oh, wait, go into WAAAGH. And you go into WAAAGH. And you go into nothing because you can go into nothing. Then we get a lot to resolve this. And Refine Rampager Standard, we'll take it. And then Sacking will give us 944. The territory would probably pay for itself fast. Yeah, the Sacking doesn't give us much, so we're just occupied. If we overextend, then we can still give up a few territories if needed. Don't collect income. Oh, we actually got a tier 3. That's actually not bad either. Anyway, keep going for the Raiden stashes and for that, well, as much as I'd love the pile of shiny stuff, can't do that control reduction, so stunty cages. Alright. And yes, that's with the public order, or with the friendliness reduction with everybody. I mean, we're orcs. What are you gonna expect? You're fine as you are. You can't collect income because it's a minus whatever. But the rest is fine. Alright. Skip, and then turn again. And just keep attacking these guys and ooh. Beastman faction, hello. An actual possible Beastman ally. No, we can't ally with them. Why? They have it. Huh, that's weird. You're supposed to be able to ally with Beastmen once they hold a territory, but maybe they can't be allied with orcs? Go figure.
Any more squeaking before I...
Ah, there it is. We were always expecting it. It looks like Balthazar Gelt will declare war on us, and we're going to have to book it back to defeat him. Alright, well, you know what? He has a great defeat trait, and I'm sure our mediumly armored tactical boys could use the additional armor from his trait, so why not? Alrighty, everybody's a constructor, as odd as that may sound for orcs. Tactic removed, treasury plus 100 for recruiting a lord. Now, since we can't be dealing with these guys right now, they won't be set, but what if we give them back their territory? What was this place called? Something Heim? Wissenheim? Like so. Oh wow, it's not actually worth a lot to them. I guess we have to build military structures there. Alright, fair enough. We'll demolish this building, We don't know whether their main army is here, but what we do know is that we haven't invested in those territories, and these territories are much more critical to us, so we don't really care what happens to Wissenheim, to be honest. Gorbad. Yeah, and you can't reach Brovska in one move anyway. Meaning we're moving out. Alrighty, you. Return through Somjek, I guess. To our own territory, and then everybody follow. We will... Ooh, these guys are... Oh, right. Well, hopefully they don't catch us and kill our guys while they're in march stance. But I guess we'll see. Anyway, all y'all move together. And I guess as soon as we get back to our own territory, what we'll do is most likely build up a army for Blorg Arader, who again has the scariest, which gives the upkeep reduction in the army minus 5%, which means he can basically do whatever the damn well pleases. And we can split off into different armies. Get him some squigs, get him some stuff, as one does. Also, let's upgrade the boss's shack here for additional public order. And here we're fine. At the very least, I don't want to invest in stuff. This is not worth it right now. And... this is not the place for the spider riders, that was. So here we built the goblin toolbox. That means here we can build the troll structure as soon as we have the money. That's the main territory. And we'll see about other stuff after. Alright. Looks good to me. Oh, actually the third slot should probably be taken up by a Gobbo town for the construction costs and income from all buildings adjacency bonus. But anyway, skip for now and turn. Alrighty, now we're definitely running... I thought I saw a lord here, but I could be wrong. We're definitely running out of time, and I'd really like to get one more battle out of the way before ending the episode. I'd hate to end the episode without another battle, so we're gonna, keep going for at least a little bit. I see Johann von Dragon, but I don't see Gelty. Go figure. Alright, you can... okay, march stance into Somjek, and I guess what we'll do is this. We'll have one little Gobbo friend follow each one of our lords. You can, however, go into here and recruit stuff. Really can't recruit the forest Gobbos. I'd prefer those. We can split the Gobbos up, and you can do some squiggies. They're still relatively cheap. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. And then you can just stay together, I guess. At least for now. And we have no more money for anything else, so that's just fine. Alright, that's another end turn, unless I'm mistaken. Let's also double check Diplo, because I haven't looked at it in a bit. Scabby Eye wants to be friends. I mean, we could be friends with them and then confederate them later on once we become strong and they become weak. Seems like the thing to do. I don't think we want the defensive alliance with the Skaven as yet. They don't care for us too much, but we might still be able to do the defensive alliance eventually. Let's do Scabby just for the extra money with them. Not bother with the military access. It'll make more factions hate us, but I really don't see the issue. Pay us your money, and if you get destroyed, you get destroyed. Lovely. That gives us a little bit of cash to get at least small amounts of investment going. Oh, you're actually positive in terms of public order. Now looks like the boss's shack is actually working for us. We'll ignore the captive's pit because we want to upgrade you. Actually, we wanted to upgrade you previously, but I couldn't afford it. I just realized that I built the stunty cages here instead of the Serraden stashes, so that needs to be swapped out like so. Important to have those in every single territory. And then the rest of that, by the looks of it, is fine. Alright, so that's an end turn. Alright, tech research. We got the additional growth for the Alliance, Enter a Military Alliance. We'll see about that. More importantly, we got some military structures here, which we're going to use to see if these guys are willing to peace out. Vissenheim, they're not. Alrighty, well then screw them. I guess that'll be something for our secondary army to do. We got Goblin Wolf Raiders, Goblin Wolf Rider Archers, we got Goblin Archers and stuff. We will then need the other Goblins. Alright, fine. You're gonna start moving... Well, you need to move in such a way that you're far enough away from the dwarfs, which could kill you. Mr. Blorg. Oh, I love the name. Could probably use a couple of pump wagons to move together with the squigs, at least for now. I do wonder whether there's a specific squig buffing lord, because I do want a squig heavy army. Unit experience plus 50% for spiders. Should be a... Possibly a decent option for another early lord, because spider units are fairly cheap. Armor when attacking. XP for units, it's not bad. Degorkiest. Alrighty, well, I'm not seeing anything desquiggiest, but I feel like there should be this desquiggiest. Am I crazy? But I feel like that's probably the case. Anyway, I think we need actually more orc boys rather than gobos here, unless we just give that to the gobbo army. What are you again? Trolls and then stalking and vanguard deployment for trolls, though that's the sneaky gits, which are built out of tier 3. Alright, you're not going to get to tier 3, or at least we're not going to invest in upgrading you to it. But all the Night Gobos will also be able to Vanguard deploy and stuff. Are you a Night Goblin War Boss? What are you? You are a Night Goblin War Boss. Do you just buff Night Gobos in any way? Armor plus 10 for Lord's Army. I just want to see if you have anything specific for Night Gobos. See anything. Oh, okay, that's the plan stuff. This is Daloons, but nonetheless... Yeah, you could have squigs. You have great cave squig mount plus some night gobos. Alright, fine, fair enough. We could start with the basic gobos and upgrade them to the night version without investing in this territory. Although... And then they won't have the Vanguard deployment. Alright, you know what, we'll wait a turn and then we'll start... Well, you know what, let's get 4 of these. And then... 2. Not 4. Why? Because I wanted to upgrade you. Let's wait. No, I wanted to upgrade you, WAAAGH. Yes, that's what we'll do. Now, Black Buckthorn is hanging around, which I can't say I like very much, but there also isn't too much we could do about it. I don't think that we could land if we go out to sea, so we're better off moving towards Matorka this way. Otherwise, Black Buckthorn will attack us, and our army's not ready for this. Well, we could win it, but we'd take such heavy damage that it probably wouldn't be worth it. And it would also take like 50 turns to heal up, which would also be blah. Tempted by the scrap upgrades, but frankly, we have so little scrap right now, it's not like we can really upgrade anything to a useful level, so there is that to consider as well. I would like to see what scrap upgrades we have available for Rugloods, though. Ammunition and reload, 15%, 25% range. Ooh, that ain't bad. Is that better than 15%? I mean, what are they current range? 160, eh? 15% reload is considerable as well. Oh, and ammunition. Their ammunition isn't great either. Maybe this is better. Scrap errors is from this. And I'll think about it. It's certainly an option. And I take it that you guys have the same upgrades? Yep. Scrap bearers, range, and oh, you have the best blades as well. Make you more melee-oriented for when you're not fighting in range, which is also a decent option since you're going to be essentially the main line for Gorbad. I'm going to think about that. Anyway, we've used all our money, so we'll end the turn, and then we'll proceed maybe towards Citadel of Myrmidia. I'm willing to bet that these guys would be very much willing to sally out. I'm also willing to bet that Mr. Gelty would love to fight us. I just don't see where he is. This is an opportunity to fight Teclis out here as well, though. But anyway. Unhappy populace. Oh, come on, game. Arnalos, this is... Well, at least it only goes back to 0, so it isn't that horrible, but nonetheless. Anyway, moment of truth for Gorbad. If you go into March stance, you will not be able to immediately reach Citadel of Myrmidia. And it looks like we wouldn't be able to... Alright, we might have to risk Black Buckthorn attacking us. Okay, so here's what we'll do. You're gonna go into Black Gulf. I'd prefer to avoid this, so what we will try to do... Okay, go for Power of Rage for obvious reasons. Frenzy, good. Then you should be able to get just out of range of Black Buckthorn, still in the sea, like so. I think, or at least I hope. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. And then you will go out here as well. Like so. And then one more turn will decide the matter. We will also equip tactics, I guess, so let's get Gorbad's boys equipped. And 2, we will get Power of WAAAGH, I guess. I don't really see the appeal for light them up, at least not right now. Also take a look at some of these. Recruited 25 total of monster units, recruited 10 nasty skulkers. I was gonna do that anyway. Good. Alrighty, well, we'll deal with that. This guy has arrived. Alright, I assume you're still unwilling to peace out? 69 now. Wissenheim. I wanted to do this for money, but oh well. What do we have in terms of defenses here? Oh, it's actually not so bad. You know what? Go here and live or die, my friend. You gotta try. Either way, we'll get a battle. I don't think Azdrag can then be... Okay, you go into ambush stance. Can then reinforce. We could get the Moonhowlers in here to help out. As to whether that actually works out remains to be seen. But it's certainly better than it was. And oh right, we have the WAAAGH as well. You'll be fine unless this guy has another army there. Don't even waste the money on the Moonhowlers. Alright. Let's hope that they attack then. And give us that battle that we've been hankering for. Or is it just me? Anyway, skip, and turn. Hell, they besieged us. Can't quite say I was expecting that, but I was expecting either an attack or, you know, not an attack, but that's fine. We can sally out and attack them. Now, Mr. Blorg, I don't know what you will eventually have in your army, but I do know that you need to fight right now, and that means getting buffs out of the boys. Well, limited as they may be, we could always reset you if needed. I don't know whether you'll be commanding the squigs or we'll give it to the Night Gobos. And they do have a whole squiggy thingy, after all. Also, do you buff the boys? Orc Infantry Speed and Orc Infantry Charge bonus. And then obviously you have all these scrap choices as well. Wait, they're not choices? You get them all? Oh, that's nice. This is actually fairly good for orcs rather than gobos because they have high melee attack anyway and could use the additional armor and stuff. More armor? At the cost of upkeep, mind you, but we counteract that with the scariest anyway. Anyway, get the... or duh, or the... Damn you, orcs. Anyway, we're good to attack. Alright, close victory, medium casualties. The Pistoliers are going to be annoying, but we have the WAAAGH and the garrison forces, such as they are. Should be fine. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Hopefully it'll have been worth the wait. We are going to finish this particular battle up, or this particular episode up, with our dear Mr. Blorg, as opposed to having Gorbad take care of business in every single battle. Plus, we'll have a Black Orc big boss on the field from the garrison, which is nice since we've been wanting to build a few of these guys ourselves, and are still definitely itching to do so. Just got to get the necessary investment. Anyway, we are going to wait a little bit since the enemy has decided to wait for its reinforcements. We'll be happy to wait for ours, as we do have our WAAAGH to consider, including this little piece of bolt throwers, which we could sort of make the enemy move towards us, or at the very least dish out damage to some of the enemy pistoliers or outriders in the enemy army. Now, we have set up our own cavalry. We got 2 units of heavily damaged boar boys and 2 units of full HP boar boys, and behind them 4 units of squig herds as our main force moves towards the enemy, which is, you know, fairly sizable. Hopefully that'll allow these guys to just hit the enemy in the flank. Since the enemy's doing a little bit of corner camping, or at the very least very close to it, we do expect a lot of the enemy units to run away, so I'm going to have to take advantage of our cavalry to prevent as many of them from doing so as possible. Anyway, pistoliers are the target for our bolt throwers, who will land a few bolts on them, though it's going to take them a while to get any kills. Huh. Interesting. Wait, the all-metal bolts of the bolt throwers look exactly like the bolt throwers from the dwarven artillery piece. Huh, are those stolen dwarf bolts? Because that doesn't look to me anyway. It doesn't look like something an orc would make. Yeah, that's a dwarf bolt. That's pretty clearly a dwarf bolt. Interesting. Does this give a little blurb about the giant crossbow is designed to smash through battle lines at close range, enabling Greenskins to then charge in and smash the foe into bloody pieces. Well, it doesn't say about them using dwarven ammunition. I can certainly see why orcs would choose to do so. I just have my doubts about them having actually enough the dwarven ammunition to go around. But I suppose there's probably a lot of spent bolts lying around all over the place. Anyway, what have we got here? Looks like the enemy pistoliers and outriders, well, actually just 2 piles of pistoliers, are moving towards us. One of our lords is getting ready to charge those 2 enemy generals of the Empire. Though the fact that they have pistol fire available to them probably means that they'll take some damage. Speaking of pistol fire, the pistoliers get the first blood as they knock a few of the goblins with spears, poor little guys, down, and then are going to probably continue harassing them. We're not going to charge them with our melee units because that is obviously a horrific waste of time, and we'll have our range units take care of them, or at least a few of our range units take care of them, while our main line heads towards the enemy. The heavily damaged units from the garrison, who we don't care about, will lead the charge, taking enemy crossbows to the face and pikes to the face as well, blunting the enemy attack before the main army arrives, such that our losses on the main line are significantly reduced. At least one of our units of orc boys will get through the gap in the enemy lines and head towards the enemy crossbows, while our lords head to the enemy lords to begin their duel. Our cav, in the meantime, both the squiggies and the boar boys, are looping around this 2 units, or this pile of pikemen, and getting ready to head instead for the enemy archers. Or crossbows. Our enemy isn't using archers, which, you know, are terrible, so probably a good thing on their part. Anyway, the battle lines are engaged. What the heck are you doing, camera? Okay, I don't know what the heck that was supposed to be. But anyway, camera jumping around a little bit, but it does that sometimes, so that's alright. We've got the battles here. Mr. Black Orc Big Boss here, Lugden, is fighting the General of the Empire, while the other 2, the Night Goblin War Boss and the Orc War Boss, our actual lords, are fighting the other general. And a nice little contest, though I fear that neither of the enemy generals has any kind of chance in winning this, and in fact both will rout at the same time. We're going to give chase to them as we continue running down the rest of their armies as well. Our units of fast movers have arrived in the enemy back line, overrunning those enemy archers with pretty decent quickness, especially where the squigs are concerned, as the poor low melee defense archers stand no chance against them. Now when we fight the dwarfs, The Quarrelers are going to be a much more difficult proposition, at least for the regular squigs. Mangler squigs probably not so much, but the squigs are probably too fragile to take on Quarrelers, at least without significant buffs. I'm still so excited to see what a combination of tactics and scrap upgrades can do for some units, and how we can change the roles of a few units based on that. And gotta double check what exactly kind of tactics we can do, what kind of passives we can apply to those squigs. Really gotta get to those level 30s quick as we can to get the plans into whatchamacallit, indefinite time. Anyway, looks like the enemy army is on the way out. The lords have all been chased down. As the lords fall, so do their armies break, and they decide that there is no hope here. Even without the presence of Gorbad, everything is going according to plans. Anyway, there we go. The enemy army is destroyed, and it looks like Mr. Blorg has made his proper solo debut. A beginning of hopefully a career that we will watch with great interest. Just gotta figure out what we do with his army. Alright, very, very nice. That worked out pretty darn well. The garrison was able to take a bunch of the hits for us, and while we did take damage, well, the damage wasn't really all that severe. We're gonna need the money, even though I'd love the additional replenishment on, frankly, pretty much everybody. How much money was it, though? It's nearly 2,000. We needed to invest in more armies and more stuff, and just generally speaking. Squiggies did well, unsurprisingly. You can see how much I've been wanting to get squigs on the field various campaigns I've been playing now, by how much I'm using them in the early game. Anyway, ransom captives. We'll chase both of these guys down, destroy them, and then I guess continue through their territory with this army. Separated earlier from Mr. Gorbad, earlier than I thought, at the very least, but well, doing decently well already. Anyway, you're gonna go here. Probably should have put you in march stance, but oh well. Chase him down. And kill. Maybe we can pick up an item or two. Hey, a Tormentor's Sword, a nice item at that. And then we'll do eat captives this time, and then you can not do anything, so you chase him down. And auto-resolve again. And a Razor Standard, another nice pickup, and then we'll eat the captives again so that we have the bonus replenishment for 2 turns. Lovely. And then, I guess since you're here, you can go into raiding stance in Borovska, while we'll use Azdrag to recruit. However, we will do that next time. This episode went long, as I was waiting to get at least one battle going, which we did, so we will start with another battle, I guess, next episode, as we land at the Citadel of Myrmidia, and Gorbad and his current WAAAGH and begin to despoil the lands of the Golden Order. I do believe that we should have a landmark at Ekron now. I guess we'll see. I don't know whether we want to actually send Gorbad all the way down there, because I want him up in the Empire as soon as possible, but I guess we're going to have to wait and see and find out. So stay tuned for more Gorbad. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.